All right, so welcome. So this is Eli Galindo, who is the team leader in Elk Grove. Who can tell me where Elk Grove is?
Elk Grove?
Elk Grove.
By Sacramento.
Oh yeah, Miriam came by your office.
Oh,
Or did
okay.
you end up going there? Or
He
no?
was not there.
Oh, okay.
Elk Grove by Sacramento?
Mm-hmm.
Up by Sacramento.
Is Zach Younger up there?
Yes. Yep. Zach lives in Elk Grove. Yeah. Yeah.
But he's not out of your office.
We're spoiled.
What a
He
traitor.
comes by occasionally.
What a traitor. Like Miriam was just saying, she has a client up in Sacramento, and as often as I tell you, just refer Sacramento business out, don't try work up there. If you're gonna ignore me and go work up there, you can call Eli's office and just pop in.
Yeah.
Right, like we're all the KW offices are pretty friendly with each other as far as if you need to pop in, use a conference room, use a copier. If you guys rack up expenses, they'll just call us and say, hey, Miriam used 200 premium color copies, I'm billing you. And then I'll put it on your bill directly. The reason we wanted, so I think I've told some of you this, the reason we're having this class, Eli's like, hey, I wanna come teach. I was like, cool, what can you teach? I was like, we're done talking about databases or Facebook. They get enough of that. They don't want to hear from me. And I was like, can you teach 6 personal perspectives? Because it's a class I want to take, and I'm selfish. And so I made this about me and said, I want to take this class again. Can you teach it? And he said, yes. So this class is, I'll let you talk about the class, but it's pretty awesome. So we're going to go 11 to 2. And somewhere in between there, we'll stop for lunch. I hate working lunches where you go, like, they do this in Bold all the time, like, just grab your food, come back and eat, and we're gonna keep talking. Like, that's not fun, right? And so that sucks. So what we're gonna do is when the food gets here, we'll stop for maybe like 20, 30 minutes, eat, hang out, talk to each other since we're actually in person, and then we'll continue on.
Any Indian food?
Yeah.
Any Indian food?
Yeah.
If you consider, is fettuccine Indian?
Close.
Close enough.
What about marinara? Is that?
Don't even know those words.
Have you ever seen how expensive Indian food is?
No, it's not.
It's expensive when you go buy it.
Yeah. Even you buy it.
Yeah, the places you tell us to go is where I go, and it's expensive. And we're a profit-sharing company.
That's probably a profit.
Yeah, well, I'll take your profit and I'll buy you more Indian food with it. Anything else you want me to tell him about you? It's Eli. He's a cool guy. So.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, Jason.
If you saw my last introduction with Scott, it was, this is Scott.
Bye.
So, you got a lot more. So.
Thank you. I'm honored. So I'm gonna move this. Is that cool?
Yeah,
I don't need it right.
You go wherever you want.
All right. So how's everybody doing today?
Great.
Good, good. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here today to share with you guys and talk with you guys. And I love to interact in a class, so I don't want it to just be me talking the whole time. If you have a question or you don't understand something, or if you have an aha, right? And I know you guys talk about ahas, right, Jason?
Yeah, sure.
Yes, okay. An aha, when something just clicks for you and you're like, that, I never thought of it that way. We love to share those things, so I want you guys to feel free to interact. I also want to encourage you, I know we all have busy businesses, and as much as is possible, to just really put down your devices and your laptops and your emails as much as you can, right? I understand things come up and there's emergencies, but to really get a hold of the information we're gonna go over today, it's pretty powerful stuff. You gotta kind of focus all in as much as possible. So I wanna encourage you to do that. Before we get started, I wanna hear from the room real quick. I'd love for each of you just to tell me your name and how long you've been in the business, just so I get an idea of the various levels of experience. So, can you real quick?
My name is William Sweet. I've been in the business 4 years in spring.
4 years. Thank you, sir.
My name is Ricardo. I've been in the business, it'll be a year in February.
Year.
I'm John Nera, been in the business for over 20 years, and currently I'm on hiatus.
Oh, okay, nice. Yes, sir.
Alex, been in the business for about 10 years.
Okay, thank you.
My name is Alan. I've been in business over 20 years.
20 years. Thank you, sir.
My name is Miriam Nabrato. I'm in the business for a little bit over 2 years.
3?
2 years.
2 years.
Little
Okay,
over.
great. Thank you. Yes.
I'm Sangeeta, and I'm in business from almost 5 years.
5 years. Thank you.
My name is Adelina, and I've been in the business for a year.
A year, great. In the back.
My name's Amani Glover. I've been in the business a little over a month.
A month. All right, congratulations, welcome to the business. Yes, sir.
My name is Pete Balaban. I've been in business for almost a year or less than a year.
Awesome, thank you.
Bimal Sayan, about 2.5 years.
2.5 years, thank you.
I'm Alex, I've been in the business for 6 years.
6 years, awesome. Thank you all for being here today and spending your time with me. And I want you to know I appreciate it, I value it very much. And we're gonna dive straight into the material. For those walking in, there's packets on the back table right there. You're gonna wanna grab one of those. So just gonna take about 3 minutes and just tell you about who you're here to listen to, right? And so my name is Eli Galindo, and I've been in the business since 1994. I started as a mortgage guy for 3 years. That's how I got in. I was in junior college, and my cousin, who was a mortgage guy, needed an assistant. And so I started by just, getting his dry cleaning, his coffee, picking up documents from clients, that sort of thing. And then in 1995, I got my real estate license. Fast forward, I did loans for 2 years, and then I started doing real estate in 1998-ish, okay? And in 2000, I opened my own brokerage. So I had my own brokerage for 8 years in Elk Grove. We grew to about 35 agents and 14 loan officers, about 6 staff members, and we had some little satellite branches in Sacramento. It was a wild ride. Who was in the business in 2003, 4, and 5? 2003, 4, and 5. So how can you guys describe how busy it was? It was insane, right? It was nonstop, almost kind of similar to what's been happening with the amount of offers and things, but a different world altogether, right? Because of the mortgage industry and what happened there, as we all know. Then there was a huge crash in 2008, right? Surprise! It was a really tough time though. I had my business and I had put everything into it that I had, and I have 4 children at the time, right? I still have 4 children, but they were little at the time. Is my point. I still have them all, So at the time, my youngest was 6, and then 8, and then 10, and then 13 years old. And then of course, my wife is like, "You're going on this crazy journey right now. It's been nuts, and it's fantastic. We had our house, our rentals, we had nice cars, all this stuff." And no one ever taught me. I wasn't at Keller Williams yet. I didn't get to Keller Williams till 7 years ago. So back then, no one had taught me about red light, green light, and balancing my life and make sure I'm there for my wife. And so it turned out to where I was working 14 hours a day, 7 days a week, because there was that much business. Like, I couldn't stop. There was so much business coming in the door. And so much so that my staff one Christmas bought me a cot because I would fall asleep at my desk. And it would be 5 in the morning. I'm going, "Oh my God, I fell asleep." And they would be walking in at 6:30 and 7, and they go, "You didn't go home, did you?" I'm like, "I didn't go home today." And then, here's the thing. It's kind of funny, and then it's not. Because in 2008, my wife said, "You know what? This is not working. I think we need a divorce." Right? I think we need a divorce because you know what? I'm raising these kids by myself. I haven't seen you like hardly at all in the last few months. It was just a horrible thing. And again, my kids were little, right? So it broke my heart because I felt like I was doing the right things. I was working hard. I was creating tons of income for us. We had houses and properties and all kinds of fun events, and we'd go to Disneyland, and we take kids to Disneyland 2-3 times a year, right? I would make time for that, so I thought I was doing a good dad, husband thing. But here's what I missed out on. And this is one of the reasons I'm so passionate about this class, because sometimes we do business and we can do it wrong by accident. And this is what happened to me. So I'd be at Disneyland. The kids are on Dumbo or whatever ride. And I go, "Babe, I'll be right back. I got to take this call." And I would walk away. And as she'd be like getting the kids off the ride, they're laughing and smiling. And then I'd walk over and go, "Okay, where are we going? Where are we going? I'm almost done. I'm almost done." And then I'd hang up the phone, and then we'd go to the next ride. And then I'd say, "Babe, I'm going to run to the car real quick. I gotta grab my laptop." Okay, this is real. This is exactly what would happen. I got to go get my laptop. I said, "I'll be back in a bit. Where should I meet up with you guys?" She's over there with the stroller with the 2 little ones, and she's got, you know what I mean? This is what was happening in my world. Because no one ever told me that if I don't have my kids and my life and my relationships that are most important to me, I don't care how much money you make. It's not worth it. Because I'll tell you what, right now, raise your hand for a second if you got a call this morning and someone told you, "Hey, you have cancer," would your world change?
Yeah.
Right? If someone called this morning and said, Sir Eli, I'm sorry to tell you, your wife just died in a car accident, would your world change? And the truth of the matter is, what's most important to us gets stripped away in those moments. Like, you think about when a moment like that happens, what's most important to us? Is it that client that needs our phone call right now because the home inspection's got a problem? That's important. I'm not diminishing that. But is it as important as me having dinner with my wife? Because remember my story. Over time, me not having dinner with my wife turned into, we're going to separate, right? This isn't working. And my world stopped, right? So is there anyone in the room that can relate to this? Thank you. Thank you. And for those of you who can't yet, my hope today is to teach you and make you think about what is most important in your world. That's what today is about. The 6 personal perspectives is not just some class we teach. It literally is a belief system on how to have a big life and to put the right things in the right priority, right? Because no one teaches us this, right? Did anybody learn this in school, high school, college? They don't teach you that. In fact, most brokerages, Keller Williams is very unique in that we teach classes like this around your life, not just, hey, how can you get another buyer? How can you get another seller? Let's get a contract. Let's get you closed. Let's make some more money. Okay, that's part of it, but that is not all of it, right? You have a water bottle I can steal? I'm gonna need it. So,
Yeah, I'll bring it with
is this yours or mine?
it's yours now.
Okay.
I'll
Take
bring
it.
it.
All right, thank you.
I got you. Oh,
Thanks, man. Appreciate
man,
that.
look who just went to the front of the
What?
class.
I'm writing. What's your name again? I'm writing it down right now.
Alex.
Alex. Thanks, Alex. And so we're going to watch a quick video before we get into the material. And it's basically a similar concept. If you haven't, who's seen this video? Do you guys know this video? 3 things I learned when my plane crashed?
No.
All right, we're going to watch this. This is the only video we're watching today. But I think it's important that we set the mindset correctly, right? That we think about why we're doing this class. Because if we don't set up that reasoning right now, I'm going to share things with you you're going to question. I'm going to share things with you you're going to think, no, I don't know if I agree with that, right? But if you understand the reason why we're doing this, then it's going to be easier to take in the material and the conversations we're going to have together, okay? So let's watch this video real quick.
So imagine a big explosion as you climb through 3,000 feet. Imagine a plane full of smoke. Imagine an engine going clack, 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 clack. Sounds scary. Well, I had a unique seat that day. I was sitting in 1D. I was the only one who could talk to the flight attendants. So I looked at them right away, and they said, no problem. We probably hit some birds. The pilot had already turned the plane around, and we weren't that far. You could see Manhattan. 2 minutes later, 3 things happened at the same time. The pilot lines up the plane with the Hudson River. It's usually not the route. He turns off the engines. Now imagine being on a plane with no sound. And then he says 3 words, as unemotional 3 words as I've ever heard. He says, brace for impact. I didn't have to talk to the flight attendant anymore. I could see in her eyes. It was terror. Life was over. And I want to share with you 3 things I learned about myself that day. I learned that it all changes in an instant. We have this bucket list, we have these things we want to do in life. And I thought about all the people I wanted to reach out that I didn't. All the fences I wanted to mend. All the experiences I wanted to have and I never did. As I thought about that, later on I came up with a saying, which is, I collect bad wines. Because if the wine is ready and the person is there, I'm opening it. I no longer want to postpone anything in life. And that urgency, that purpose has really changed my life. The second thing I learned that day, and this is as we clear the George Washington Bridge, which was by not a lot. I thought about, wow, I really feel one real regret. I've lived a good life, In my own humanity and mistakes, I've tried to get better at everything I tried. But in my humanity, I also allow my ego to get in. And I regretted the time I wasted in things that did not matter with people that matter. I thought about my relationship with my wife, with my friends, with people. And after, as I reflected on that, I decided to eliminate negative energy from my life. It's not perfect, it's a lot better. I've not had a fight with my wife in 2 years, it feels great. I'm no longer trying to be right, I choose to be happy. The third thing I learned, and this is as your mental clock starts going 15, 14, 13, you can see the water coming, I'm saying, please blow up. Right? I don't want this thing to break in 20 pieces like you see in those documentaries. And as we're coming down, I had a sense of, wow, dying is not scary. It's almost like we've been preparing for it our whole lives. But it was very sad. I didn't want to go. I love my life. And that sadness really framed in one thought, which is, I only wish for one thing. I only wish I could see my kids grow up. About a month later, I was in a performance by my daughter, first grader, not much artistic talent yet. And I'm bawling, I'm crying like a little kid. And it made all the sense in the world to me. I realized at that point, by connecting those two dots, that the only thing that matters in my life is being a great dad. Above all, the only goal I have in life is to be a good dad. I was given the gift of a miracle of not dying that day. I was given another gift, which was to be able to see into the future and come back and live differently. I challenge you guys that are flying today. Imagine the same thing happens on your plane, and please don't. But imagine, and how would you change? What would you get done that you're waiting to get done because you think you'll be here forever? How would you change your relationships and the negative energy in them? And more than anything, are you being the best parent you can? Thank you.
What do you guys think?
Right.
Where is it?
Bottom right.
There you go. So let's talk about it for a second. I love some feedback, your ahas, your thoughts, your comments about his story. Just 2 or 3 of you, real fast. Yes, sir.
It always goes back to like when we were talking about businesses coming from a mindset of abundance. What do you have right now versus being happy with what you have right now, and understanding what's important to your life right now other than just business.
Yeah.
And then that why should be what drives the business, not just business alone.
Yeah, love that. Think about it for a second. If I'm happy with where I'm at now and I choose to be happy right now, do my clients feel that?
Mm-hmm.
Do my colleagues feel that? Do the people I'm attracting to my profit share feel that? They're gonna look at you and go, why aren't you stressed out? What's going on in your world? What's different about you, right? So that's good. I see a hand over here. Yes, sir.
I'm just gonna say that I've been through some rough waters lately, and it can kind of get you down, and it's important to try to, and not try to affect people around you too much, especially if they're youngsters or whatever, because they don't deserve that type of thing, you know. And my wife, being a very smart woman, started like every day would say to me that just name one thing that you're happy about. And I'm like, name one thing you're happy about. And it was fairly easy to come up with 1, 2, 3 things.
Yeah.
You know, and try to get that positivity back.
Yeah.
You know.
Thank you for sharing that. It's so important, guys. What happens is if we let ourselves, the environment we're in can pull us in that direction, right? So negativity can pull you, but positivity can pull you. And so what's the bold law that talks about this? What you focus on expands, right? You guys know this bold law? What you focus on expands. So your wife is having you focus on what's good. And if we can figure that out for ourselves every day, it's like we can direct our day. Does that mean that problems won't come against us? No, it doesn't mean that. There's still going to be challenges, right? But how we approach those changes. So thank you for that. It's a different perspective. Anybody else?
Balance.
Yes, what's that?
It's the balance.
Balance?
Work and family, yeah.
Yeah, thank you. We're going to talk about that today in a big way. How to balance the important things, right? Because like in my story, you can work really hard and make tons of money. For what purpose though, right? I was doing it for my wife and my kids, but was I? Right? Well, you start to question that. So thank you for sharing, all three of you. I appreciate that very much. Let's dive right into the material. So if you got a packet there with you, go ahead and get that opened up to the very first section. And we're going to talk about today is the 6 personal perspectives. This is one of the most powerful trainings I believe that they've created with Keller Williams. There's tons of amazing trainings. There's so many. You got Quantum Leap. Who's been to Quantum Leap? Anybody been to Quantum Leap? You, sir? Good, sir. Good. You're good, sir. You guys all going to want to go to Quantum Leap. It's even, in my opinion, it's this on steroids, what we're about to talk about. Quantum Leap is about making small changes that have huge impact in your world. That's what Quantum Leap is about. And they have it often in the region, in this area, so please, I want to encourage you to look for that. Quantum Leap, write it down. Quantum Leap. In fact, I want to encourage you to write things down today, thoughts. Because when you write it down, you tend to retain more of it. Yes, true or no? Not true? Yes. So you hear it and you write it down, then it's going to sit with you. So Quantum Leap is something you're going to want to attend at some point. So the reason they did, so what they did was a study. Gary Keller, right, founder of Keller Williams, co-founder of Keller Williams, many years ago did a study on what the top agents in our country were doing. In fact, they wrote The Millionaire Real Estate Agent in 2004, and it came from a lot of these interviews with agents that netted $1 million or more in their business. And they wanted to find out why. That's where the systems, models, and tools came from. This is more about who we are as an individual and the way we approach those systems, models, and tools. And the same study happened here. They asked the same kind of questions, but more about the person. Who knows the bold law about be, do, achieve, right? So what's the person you have to be so you can do the right things so you can achieve the goals that you really want to go after for your family or for your future or for your investments or whatever that is important to you, right? So that's what this is about today. So this is what sincerely, so let me ask you a question. If you wanted to be a good cook, who might you follow and learn from out there? Martha Stewart.
Your mom.
Ooh.
Your mother.
My mother is an amazing cook. Just so you guys know. Okay, she is an amazing cook. We had a restaurant for a few years. It was amazing, and I ate way too much when I was there. She knows exactly what I like to eat. So, who else? Who else could you learn from? Gordon Ramsay, right? Now let me ask you something. Gordon Ramsay's in the kitchen with you, and he says, "Hey man, you're going to stir this just like this. I want you to count to 40, then you're done." And you're like, 40? That's kind of random. I'm just going to do 20. Why would you do that, right? If Gordon Ramsay is the one who you know has the proven track record, why won't we just listen to him? Why does that happen to us? Anybody? Think about it. Why does that happen? Does that happen in your real estate business? Jason says, you should do X, Y, and Z. Your team leader. He goes to trainings, leadership. He's been in the business for a long time. He cares about you, and he says, do this, this, and this. And in your mind, you go, okay. And then you come over in the corner and you go, I'm not doing that. Does this happen, yes or no?
Yes.
It does. Thank you, Jason. Right? And so here's the thing. If Gary Keller did these interviews with people that netted $1 million or more, and they have a certain way that they do business, why would we go try to reinvent the wheel? Why don't we start with that as a foundation, and then we can get creative, right? But let's start there, because each of us have our own flavor, right? I have a certain way I talk to my clients. You have a certain way you talk to your clients. That's fine, but the foundational piece should remain the same. You guys agree? Yeah, do you see the value in that? Just like with Gordon Ramsay, right? Or Martha Stewart, or my mama, right? They have a proven method of cooking that has been delicious for years. And yet you want to go and change it. Start there and then make it your own. So that's the challenge today. So here's what happens when we talk about the 6 personal perspectives. So you can flip through your pages there. I don't know. Yeah, I think this one's on there. So it's mindset, attitudes, and approach to life. And check this out. I want to point this out to you guys. So you can have a great mindset, but if you have a bad attitude, it doesn't work. You have a good attitude, but the mindset's not there, that doesn't work either. The sweet spot is where all three come into intersection right there. Do you understand? So having all three is important. So when we say, hey, make sure you're here today at 2 o'clock for this training, you're like, I've been to that training. Right? Are you setting yourself up for success? Think about it for a second. Our attitude creates our results, because what happens is we do or don't do things based on that. Right? So I want to challenge you today to ask yourself this question. In fact, in your book, circle the center part where they intersect right there, and just say, am I moving towards this spot? Write that on your paper. Am I moving towards this spot? The intersection of a great mindset, a great attitude, and a great approach to life. Am I moving towards this spot? And I want you to think about that as we go through the entire thing. Okay, so what we're going to discuss today are these 6 personal perspectives. We're going to do a quick overview of them. Then we're going to dive into each one. I'm going to get through 3 before lunch, depending on what time lunch gets here. So let's start with number 1. Commit to self-mastery. I'm going to nail it, and I'm going to master this. I'm going to nail it, and I'm going to master this. Is this written on yours? Go ahead and write that in, yeah. Please write that in on the side. I'm going to nail it. I'm going to master this. And we're going to dive deep into mastery here in a bit. The second one is commit to the 80-20 principle. I want to make sure I'm not in your way there. I'm going to focus on my big rocks. And we're definitely going to go into this as well. Jason, you brought the big rocks, right?
Yeah.
And the big jars?
Sure.
And the sand and the rock?
Yeah, the sand and the water and the
okay.
rocks. Yeah.
You guys are going to see what I'm talking about in a second. I almost did it. Never mind. Okay. Then step 3, move from E to P. I am purposeful about breaking through my ceiling of achievement. Write that down. I am purposeful about breaking through, what's that? I'm going to focus on my big, E to P, entrepreneurial to purposeful. Yeah. I'm purposeful about breaking through my ceiling of achievement. Learning based. I am willing to be taught and always pursue learning. That's the one I mentioned a second ago about coming today at 2. You're not coming? Are you going to come? Whatever time the training is. Or the team meeting tomorrow at what time? 1 o'clock, right? There's added value in everything we do. We're taught in leadership to add value to your world every chance we can. Okay? Remove limiting beliefs. I unlimit my thinking and my success. I unlimit my thinking and my success. I unlimit my thinking and my success. And number 6, be accountable. It's mine, I own it. It's mine, I own it. I'm going to give you guys a minute to make sure you got them all written down. And I'm going to put my phone on Do Not Disturb so it doesn't bother me anymore.
80-20 rule.
There it is. It's gone. Okay. Everybody got those? Okay, great. So I want to stop for a second, just glancing at these. How do you guys feel about them? Have you guys ever, who's never seen these before? Raise your hand. Never seen them before. 1, 2, okay, just 2 of you, 3 of you, okay. So what do you guys think when you see this? You say, okay, there's 6 personal perspectives. Why 6? Why not 8? Why not 12? Why not 2? There's 6, right? And the question is really, is Gary Keller the Gordon Ramsay of real estate? Well, you have the largest real estate brokerage in the world, 180-something thousand, right? Am I right on that?
Yeah.
Agents, 50 countries. It's doing something right, right? And we're by far the largest brokerage, not just barely, significantly. So I think accepting that these 6 are probably the top ones is what's most important, right? Any questions or comments on these before I move on? Okay. All right, so your challenge today, flip the page. How would you change? What would you do that you were waiting to get done? So you remember the video he's talking about, what would you do? Right, I want you to take 2 or 3 minutes. We're gonna pause here for a second. So you can write the 3 things you would like to accomplish in your life. This is a big question. I'm only giving you 2 or 3 minutes because I want you to put on there which first pops in your mind. Like, I don't want to give you too long to think about it. What first pops in your mind? What are the major 3 things that you want to accomplish in your life? That, like, we're at your funeral, you're 90 years old, you pass away from natural causes, and we're at your funeral, and someone is talking about you, and they say, Eli, we're going to miss you. You did this in the world. You did this for your family. What is it? What is it that you would be most proud of? So I don't think I told you guys this, and as you're thinking, I'm just going to talk so you guys can start thinking about ideas. But my dad's a pastor, so I'm a pastor's kid. So I grew up in church, and one of the things he would say when he would do a funeral, he would say, and I think you guys have probably heard this somewhere, it's the dash that matters the most. It's not the year you were born or the year you passed. It's the dash in the middle, right? The time you were on this earth and in this world. What did you do that was important to you? And every person in here will have something different. And that's actually great. That's perfect. So I want you to write down 3 things that you really want to accomplish. Because I don't think we think about this. We don't think about this that often. We just don't. Who asked this question to us? Right? I'll give you 1 more minute. Okay, so you can definitely keep writing. Who's been to business planning clinic? Raise your hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Cool. So business planning clinic, we always ask about our big why, that we start there. Because everything we build in the business should fund that part of our life, right? Because if it's not, then what are we actually doing? What are we doing if we don't do that? It's arbitrary, right? At that point. I was just doing deals to do deals, and my pride was I have 35 agents, I have 14 loan officers, and I was just so pumped up about that really, they would just, some agents leave the office, loan officers would leave the office, and new ones would come. What was the consistent thing in my world? What was it, relationship-wise? I made it that, but what was really there for me? I think my family, yeah. I did make it that though, and that's where I made the mistake, right? So when we talk about this, I want you to think about it, and you can go back and change your answer because as we go through the class, I can imagine some of you are gonna think again about this piece. And I wanna encourage you to go back to that page and make a change, okay? And some of you won't, some of you have it and you already know, right? But this is the important part, okay? So, what is your goal? How are you doing with your goal? How do you feel about that? So, do you have the page with the circles on it? Should be the next page, I think. Okay. So let's have a real talk about this. Is there a volunteer that would like to share one of their goals in the room? Yes, sir. Go for it. Thanks, Alex.
Pretty much bringing in passive income and having generational wealth where we're traveling, having fun, going out to eat, and if there's anyone who doesn't have enough financially, then we're able to.
I love that.
Bring them along.
I love that. So write that in the circle on the next page, right? Just that. So he said having passive income and wealth so that he can have amazing experiences, right? I think that's what you were saying, right? With your family and stuff. And you could help other people that needed help. So you have enough income to do that. All right, so the next question, Alex, would be that next circle. How are you doing with your goal? And this is where we got to get real with ourselves, right? The only reason we're doing this is not to make ourselves feel bad. It's kind of just a reality check of, okay, where do I need to shift? What do I have to change? Because this is really what I want to do, right? So how are you doing with that goal?
On the way there.
Awesome. Awesome, I love it. You're plugging in, you're getting it done, you're learning, right? All the 6 personal perspectives we're going to talk about today are going to have to do with getting you through this path. How do you feel about where you're at in that path? Do you feel good? Do you feel like you could do more?
Yeah, could do more.
You could do more? Okay, write that in that third circle. I can do more.
Consistent.
Yeah, write that in that third circle. I can do more. I can be more consistent, right? And for each of you, you need to write your goal in that first circle. Second circle is how you're doing. Be honest with yourself. Alex is the only one sharing, so everybody else just write in that circle. Be totally transparent with yourself, because that's where it starts, right? We got to be real, okay? And then what will your future look like, Alex, if you do not achieve your goal?
Then I'll continue to work until I die.
That's real talk, man. You're gonna have to work in your 70s and 80s. You know what I mean? It's kind of like at that point, you want to start enjoying life and giving back, teaching classes, whatever's in your heart to do, right? Helping people with investments, partnering with people to buy their first property or their first investment property, and you're building a portfolio for yourself and for maybe your kids, your grandkids, right? Think about that. That would be amazing. I mean, what if you're at age 60, whatever, or whatever age you pick for yourself, and your grandkids, by the way, I have 2 grandbabies. Yeah, I have 2 grandbabies. One was just born 2.5 weeks ago. Her name is Mila, and then I have a 1 and 8 month old. Her name is Ella.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I love it. It's just a whole different thing. I don't know how to explain it. Who has grandkids in the room? Anybody? I'm the only grandpa? All right, I'm the only grandpa. Okay, well, when you have grandkids, you're going to see it's just a whole different thing. I don't know how to explain it. I love my kids a lot, but there's something different about the grandkids. I don't know. Maybe it's because I can give them back at the end. Yeah. But think about it. So I'm 48, and when I hit 65, my 60s, and my grandkids are starting to become adults, wouldn't it be cool if I'm like, hey, Ella, let's go buy your first investment property together. Grandpa's going to give you half of what you need. You bring the other half. Let's do this. Hey, Mila, we're going to get your first investment property. Oh, let's go to get your second one now. Talk about having fun as a grandpa, right? But see, if we don't do the right things today, if you walk out of this room today and you don't implement anything we're talking about today, are you really on that path? Maybe you are, maybe you're not. You might get there, right? But your odds increase because, again, this has been a proven study that was done, right? So we need to learn. Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Ahas, just from that little piece about reality check. Did any of you write something down where you went, oh? Anybody have an aha they want to share? Something that just jarred you right there for a second. Anyone? Bueller? Oh, go ahead.
I didn't realize it was so hard to get clients.
What's that? Say again?
I didn't realize to achieve my goal, it was so hard to get clients.
To get clients. Gotcha. And so what did the exercise teach you about that?
That you have to really go out and socialize and work to find them.
Yeah. So you have to do something purposeful. That's what I heard you say, right? You have to do something purposeful to get there, correct? Right. Thank you for sharing. Appreciate that. Anybody else? Something you learned, some aha from this little piece? Yes!
It is exciting and it feels good when you're doing what you can do to achieve your goals.
Yeah, it's exciting when you're doing what you're doing, with the things you need to be doing to achieve your goals. Isn't it fun when you actually achieve a goal that you've set? Don't you get excited and celebrate a little bit? Like, has anybody achieved a really big goal this year that they want to share with the room? You're proud of yourself, and you should be. I know there's someone in here. It could be personal. Could be business, yes.
I became a homeowner.
She became a homeowner. Congratulations. That's a good feeling, right? That's a good feeling. And you got to celebrate those things. Yes, Alex?
I helped my mom purchase another rental property.
Helped your mom purchase another rental. That's great. I'm serious. See, it almost, clapping for these things is a big deal because it is a big deal, right? And it is what we make it, right? We don't want to just pass over it. We should celebrate the wins, learn from the mistakes. Who's read John Maxwell's book? Sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. Fantastic book. You should read that book if you haven't, okay? Sometimes you win and sometimes you learn. Amazing. John Maxwell. Okay? Because every situation, even though they're hard, and yeah, there are days when I have a situation I'm upset or hurt or whatever for a day or two, but then I wake myself up and I go, okay, what can I learn? What can I learn to be better or do it differently next time, right? And so that's what this is about today. All right, here we go. So step 1, commit to self-mastery. So can someone read that top part for me? Self-mastery is? Just go for it.
The possession of great knowledge, skill, and habits that make you the master of you.
Okay, who can name, thank you. Who can name someone that has mastery? And do it in sports, it's easier. Name someone. Who's got mastered their skill?
Curry.
Who?
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry, basketball player. Who else?
Messi?
Messi? Yeah. Soccer, right? Yeah.
Leonardo DiCaprio.
Leonardo DiCaprio? Yep. Yeah, absolutely. Actor, right? What else? What about Michael Jordan? You know him? How about Tiger Woods? You know him?
Yeah.
Okay. What about Larry Bird? It's a little showing my age a little bit. Anybody's a little older? Larry Bird? You know Larry Bird is, right? Okay. Yeah, everybody knows Larry Bird. Let me ask you questions. So you look at them, and they're getting paid millions of dollars, and they're doing their thing. Do you ever sit there and go, man, they're lucky? What's the thought that goes in your mind about them?
Dedication.
Commitment and dedication. Do you think they just woke up and they just had the natural ability and they just were that one day?
Partial.
Okay, I want to say they did have some partial abilities, but there's stories in there. I forget which one it was. I'm not going to remember right now. But someone didn't make the high school basketball team. Who was that in basketball? Do you guys remember that story?
Jordan?
It was Jordan, huh?
Yeah.
There was someone didn't make the high school ball. I cannot believe I can't remember right now. I'm pretty sure it's Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Didn't make the cut. So at that point, what do? You could give up, right? See, we don't think about that though when we see him, winning the NBA championship and taking the final shot and making it happen. We're not thinking about those moments. What did it take for him to get there? Like if you ask Tiger Woods how many times he practiced hitting the ball, putting the ball, it's literally thousands and thousands and thousands of times so that he could master his skill. So here's the question I want to pose to you guys today. What are you doing to master your real estate skills? Be real with yourself. On the sheet right here, there should be one that has questions on it about what your goals are. Self-mastery, I think it's that page, and if it's not, the next page has a blank space, I think you can write on. Oh, they're double-sided, so it's going to be on the back. Your packets are double-sided. So I want you for a second to write down either A, what you're doing to master your skills, like a Tiger Woods or a Michael Jordan, or B, what could you do? And you make 2 lists, okay? Number 1, what you're doing, and number 2, what you could be doing. Make a list real quick. What are you doing? What could you do? What are you doing and what could you do? Like, you know you could do it. Like, man, if I would just do this, I could do it. What classes could you take? What kind of people should you hang out with? Should you be in the market center more often? Are you doing any script practice every day? You know, script practice is a lot like Tiger Woods putting on the green over and over and over and over and over and over. So when he's taking that last shot that's going to win him the championship, he makes it. That's a lot like what script practice is. Because our scripts, what we say from our mouths, is probably one of the most powerful tools in real estate. And saying the right things at the right time in the right way is so important. So I would encourage you guys to team up and do some script and role play. And we've got tons of scripts that we can share with you. I know that Jason has tons that we have access to that we can give to you guys. But just to practice it every day, every day, every day. Do you think Tiger Woods got a little bored? Like, I've done this putt a few thousand times. And he's just putting, right? But that's how it works. That's how self-mastery works. Here's the other thing about self-mastery. You need to know your goals. So Tiger Woods, let's just keep talking about Tiger Woods for a second. He wanted to be the best in golf. And as a little kid, you could read, he's got a book out there, he's got a story. Even as a little boy, he was practicing with his dad, right? Over and over and over and over. And in the book, you're going to read that he had this desire inside of him. Maybe it was planted by dad, I don't know, the whole deal. But either way, he wanted to do it. Now, you guys have a goal. We just wrote down 3 goals a little while ago, right? That you want to do in your life. So the question is now, what are you doing, as Alex as an example? Are you first of all clear on your goal? Which you gave a really good, clear goal. That was great. Okay? And then know your strengths and weaknesses. So now Tiger Woods, he knew he was good at putting, or he was good at. You've got to determine what you're good at and what you're not good at. And what you're not good at, you could sharpen those skills, right? Like, name something you're not good at in real estate. What organization? Okay, great. No, great. What else? Something you're not good at. Who loves cold calling people? Raise your hand. Okay, sir, you are. I love it. Who doesn't like cold calling people? Raise your hand. I knew I'd get the majority of the room, right? Could you get better at that? Is there a way to do that? There probably is, right? What other things are we strong at? Like, who really struggles with social media posts? Okay? Who doesn't like to do selfies of themselves in videos? Okay? I know that's usually the case. It's usually 70% of the room, and my market center is the same way. It's like, I don't have a problem with it because I'm crazy, right? I'll do a video about anything, anywhere. But there's a lot of people who can't. So can they sharpen their skills in that area? Could they learn to get out of that comfort zone? Think about it for a second. Isn't it about getting out of your comfort zone? So who likes to karaoke in the room? Who hates it? Who hates it? Who would not karaoke? Like, don't even make me do it.
Not even close.
Okay. So here's what I know about karaoke and other things. Like, who's ever jumped off a cliff at like a lake? Like, you were nervous to do it. No one? Who's ever gone on do you remember the first time you went on a roller coaster that had like a huge dip and it went upside down and you were younger? Who was nervous? Be honest. A little nervous, a little scared, right? So all those things, and yet if we don't push ourselves over that little edge, we won't experience it. Because after I did the first time, I was like, I want to go again. Let's do it again. It's just that first time, it's so scary. And then you go through it and you're like, I loved it. And you do it again and again. Same thing with karaoke. If you get up there and sing, you may be horrible at it. Guess what? That's okay. You're probably going to have fun. You're going to laugh at yourself. You're going to laugh. It's all about you and what you want to do. And what's your goal, right? Push yourself outside that comfort zone. So knowing your strengths and weakness. Know how to work with both your strengths and weaknesses to reach your goal. Now, what's a way we can work with our weakness? You said you're not organized, right? So, Alex, what's a way you can work with your weakness? Come on, man.
Hire someone.
Hire some leverage, right? Now, what's the class you take for leverage? What's it called? Come on, Jason. Don't say it because if they don't know it, we're gonna have a talk. No, I'm just kidding. What's the class?
William, you know it. You just
Say
asked
it.
me about it.
Oh my gosh, you're cheating.
Gosh, I can't think of it.
Okay, write this down. Are you ready? It's called career visioning.
Yeah, that one.
That one, that's the one. Career visioning. If you want to learn how to leverage, go to career visioning. Go to career vision. Write it down. We always say CV. We use all these acronyms for like everything.
December 7th
December 7th.
in Cupertino.
Cupertino. How far is that?
Like
30
minutes.
30 minutes.
It's Eric's office.
Who's teaching it?
Tony.
Tony Brody. Our
Robbins?
regional.
Different Tony.
Oh.
A little bit shorter. Not much shorter.
Not much shorter. A little bit. A little thinner. Yeah.
A little crazier.
A little smaller. A little crazier. You should all go to it. And here's the thing about mastery. So let's say you go to a class. Who's attended a class one time and they're like, I don't need to go back to that class. Don't raise your hands, okay? Because the truth is, Tiger Woods could have put it one time and said, I made that, I'm good. I'm good, I'm walking away, I'm good. But he didn't do that, did he? He did it again and again and again, which we just demonstrated earlier. So I've gone to CV 7 times. I'm planning to go another 7 times. Self-mastery is learning it all the way, not part of it. Because who in the room knows, if you go to a training, like this training today, 6 personal perspectives, how much of the material do you think you're going to retain today?
5% maybe.
I'm going to guess 5 to 10% of the material. That's usually that's what I've heard. And if you write it down, you might get to 15%, right? So if you've learned 15% of the entire material, how many times you got to come back to get the whole thing? You can't just come once. I hate it. It bothers me so bad when people say, I've already attended that class. And I'm thinking to myself, you don't want self-mastery then, do you? You don't really want to learn it. You just took a few tidbits out of it and that's it. It's like reading a book, right? If you read a book once, there's no way, unless you got a photographic memory, which there's very few in the world that do, you are not going to retain that entire book. MREA, you should have read it by now 10, 15, 20 times. Study it, learn it, highlight it. The pages should be all ripped at the corners because you've done it so much. You should have stickies in there, notes. You got to study and know it like mastery, right? Are you guys getting what I'm saying here? Okay. So I want to encourage you to keep doing that. So here's a really cool book, The Outliers. It's a journey, not an event. And I love that, right? It's just like what I was just talking about. But in the book, do you guys, has anybody read the book? You have? Okay. Team leader, good job.
Oh my God, Malcolm Gladwell is amazing. He's one of the best authors.
Oh, so good. So how many times, let's see if anybody knows. No one's read it, so I guess you. Jason, how many times does it take?
I don't remember.
10,000. 10,000. In the book, he says 10,000 times to master something.
Like the repetition of it.
Repetition of it. So as an example, if I have a script I'm learning, imagine going after it 10,000 times. Does that feel overwhelming to you? Anybody in the room? Yeah. It does, right? So here's what happens. Self-mastery is about consistency over time. Don't get caught up in the 10,000. Get caught up on, I'm going to do it every day for 5 minutes. I'm going to do it every day for 10 minutes. So here's what I want you to do. Write down right now on this page, thinking about your goal that you wrote on the previous pages, what's one thing you could do every day for 10 minutes to get you closer to that goal? Just one. I'm not telling you to pick 20, just one. Pick something. What can you do for 10 minutes every day? Come on. Sure. I love it. What's one thing you could do for 10 minutes every day? Yes? Exercise. Love it. Yeah, for your health, right? Because it's business, it's health, it's our life, it's all of it. Any part of that matters. What's someone else? What's one thing you do for 10 minutes a day?
Practice guitar.
What's that?
Practice guitar.
Practice guitar. Yes, you can master the guitar. If you did that for 10 minutes every day, you would master the guitar in time you would. Think about it. If you want to learn another language, what if you just learned 2 words a day? How many words is that in a year? 730? 65, did I do that right? 25. Yeah. So you learn 730 words in a year. Would you be able to have a conversation with someone with 730 words? Probably. Any language you want. You know what we do. You know what we all do, me included. We're like, I'm going to learn, so I'm going to go after it for 2 hours a night. Come on.
No way.
We just, as human beings, we have trouble with that large of a commitment. Who's read Atomic Habits? Another good book. Write it down. I'm going to give you like 20 books today. I'm sorry. I can't help it.
Well, so far you've done all good ones. So
Okay,
keep
good.
going.
All right, well, we'll get the review from Jason, make sure it's good for you guys. Atomic Habits. They talk about habit stacking, okay? Habit stacking is doing one little thing to get you closer to the habit you're trying to create. So they talk about if you want to work out and you're just not good at it, you just don't do it. He says start the first day by just putting your shoes by the bed. Don't go work out yet. Just put the shoes there. And then the next day, pick a second thing to add to it. I'm going to put on my shoes. I'm not going to go work out. I'm just going to get the shoes out, put my shoes on. The third day, not kidding, this is so good. The third day, you add another part to that. What would it be? What would you guys do if you were to add a third piece? Before I tell you.
Go get up and walk.
Yeah, just say, hey, I'm going to walk downstairs in my workout shoes. I'm going to walk downstairs and walk back upstairs. And I'm done for today. Okay? And every day you add a little piece to that habit you want to grow. Atomic Habits, read it, it's really good. Or get an Audible. So, little sidebar, this is a bonus material for you guys. So, who knows well, I just made this up or I've heard it somewhere, I don't know. So, there's what I call multiplication time. Do you know what I mean by that? Have you heard that before? Anybody? Multiplication time? Multiplication time is when you can X your time. So, I'm going to give you one quick example, and I want you guys to give me some after I tell you. I'm driving and listening to something. If I'm driving and listening to random music, that doesn't help me hit that goal. I'm down to listen to random music sometimes, but I'm going to purposely listen to a YouTube, a podcast, a book. I'm multiplying my time because I'm able to do more than one thing at once. What are other examples of that?
I'm booking airline tickets right now while you talk.
A good example. It's usually not when you're doing something that's engaging. Okay, that's a misunderstanding. It's usually when you're doing something that requires you don't have to be totally involved in it.
Really
The
working
driving, you're
out,
just driving.
You can listen to podcasts.
When?
Working out.
Working out,
Yeah,
listen to
or
podcasts.
cleaning.
Cleaning the house, right? What else? What are things you do in your daily life? Like
Listening while walking.
while walking, while driving, right? While at the bank. Take your book with you. If you like books and you like to highlight, just carry it with you, right? This is multiplication time because it's time where you're just like, we're not doing really anything. But we don't think about it, right? In a purposeful way. How can we do that? So that's bonus material. Okay, let's move on. All right, so what are some things that you can do in the market center that would help you get to your goal? And I'm just going to throw some out at you, and I want you, if you have one, throw it out at me, okay? You can take bold. Who's taking bold? Okay, awesome. Everybody should take bold. How many times should you take bold? Minimum 10 times. What did you say? 10,000 times. Yes. Get him a prize. He deserves a prize right now.
Alex, give him.
You will be
give him your
bold.
gold.
Yes. The truth of the matter is there's really no number to hit. You just keep going. I know people that are 22 times bold, right? I think I'm 7 or 8 times bold.
Well, like you just did it,
Yep.
2 months ago, and you're in
Yep.
it again. Right
I'm in
now.
it again.
January 20th, in person in Santa Clara.
It's gonna be good. If you've never attended Bold, it's again, we have some powerful training at Keller Williams. That's what the company's so successful. And when you go to this training, the energy in that room makes you want to do more business. It makes you want to be a better person because you're interacting with people in the room that are in the same path you're on, right? It's encouraging and inspiring. Who's ever been to family reunion? So when there's 10, 15, 20,000 people in the room, how does it feel? Isn't it crazy when you're like, oh my God, this room is huge. That stage is huge. This is really happening. This is the company I'm part of. It's amazing because you're part of something bigger, right? So So I want to encourage you to continue to go to trainings. What other trainings could you attend in this market center or around here in the region that would be good? Make your team leader proud. Let's go. What is it going to be?
Script practice.
Script practice. Love it. And if there's none, start one. Start one, right? What else? Come on.
Chat classes.
Hmm?
Chat.
Don't say chat.
Chat.
Oh, Ignite.
Ignite.
There you go, Ignite.
By the way, is Ignite for beginners or for anybody?
Anybody?
Anybody. So I've been in the business, I told you guys, 20 plus years, right? I got to KW 7 years ago. I took Ignite. Do you think I needed to take Ignite? Like, my business was doing well, right? I was already doing well. And I could have easily just said, I don't need that class. It's for new people. But Ignite is just a reminder of all the basics we got to keep doing. And so it was a great reminder. Like, I encourage all of the seasoned people to take Ignite.
And
Why?
that starts December 6th in here.
A lot of commercials today. I love that.
I love it. We did not coordinate this.
We didn't coordinate this. I had no idea. Ignite. You should go to that. It's getting. And guess what? What happens in the fourth quarter, Jason? What do all agents do? Most agents.
Take a nap.
They take a nap. They take a break, right? Guess what the fourth quarter is? Huge opportunity to grab market share. Because a lot of people take their foot off the gas. Don't be in that group. I'm not saying go all in, because you still have family events and things to do that are important. But be intentional and purposeful and attend things like Ignite. They're going to get your mind thinking about what you need to do every day.
Can I actually
Yep.
I'm going to embarrass someone in this room,
Do it.
and I apologize ahead of time. But everyone tells me, oh, Hans only works 10 months a year. Like, he takes 2 months off every year, right? He doesn't work in November and December. But then I learned a couple weeks ago that's not true. It's that he's not what you just said. He's not pedal to the metal, all I'm doing is sell, sell, sell. Instead, he's in this room learning, because it's about self-development in November and then vacation, I think, in December, right? So it becomes more of a, okay, I'm going to refocus for those months kind of while the market adjusts anyways.
Right.
Take advantage of that time to actually, like, that's going, and he's in the top 3 for a reason in the office, because
Wow.
I'm focused on this, I'm focused on the personal development side of it. So
Love it.
I apologize now. Please don't stop coming to classes, because they need that.
I love it. I love it. I love it. See, that's exactly what we mean, right? Plug in, keep going. Those are opportunities for you to capture. And when you take market share, the statistics show you don't give it back. In other words, if your business increases and you at least don't change anything or improve, you're going to keep that market business and you're going to grow it further. That's true of the entire industry. So I want to encourage you to do that. Okay, great. We're going to pass this because it's not loading. There we go. All right, list 3 obstacles you think, and we're on page 21, 22, and 23, somewhere in there. Here's what we're going to do. List 3 obstacles you think might hinder your achievement of the goal you wrote originally, the 3 goals, right? I want you to stop right now and write down an obstacle, something that's going to hold you back, or something that you have inside of you that's like, ugh, right? And then I want you to team up with someone and talk about it, just for like 2-3 minutes. So write it down first, and then talk about it. Okay? What's something that's going to hinder you?
Next to the door, there's 2 things. Grab the one that says K, and then right by the elevator.
Okay, got it. All right, partner up with someone in the room and talk about it, okay? I'll be right back.
Partner with someone else. Yeah. You got it. Partner. Mine is.
Mine was like, when it comes to my sphere, I know myself, sometimes you might not have enough business. In an area where I have a lot of my numbers, so not a lot of income. I have to put that in the 3. You're not really gonna get
I'm on
that
my way
mindset.
there.
It's kind of like the deal with the haystack, or like the generation mindset, like cold calls, like, it's like throwing a dart at the board, trying to hit something. Those are kind of my 2 main issues. It's just the mindset between the generations.
Staying focused and
Mine is limited. Another thing that I feel
One minute, 1 minute. Yeah, that's good. Do it. All right. All right, let's bring it back. Let's bring it back. So I love it. I love the interaction, the conversations. So who wants to share an aha from the conversation you just had? I'd like to hear from at least 2 people. And yeah, share with us what you learned. Just two people. Yes, sir.
So my partner just mentioned that since one she's already started with that one, so the other 2 was getting more into give back events.
Yeah.
One of the answers I didn't get to share it was you can always be a guest in KW Cares Committee, and then if you enjoy it, then you can come in and share what your ideas are for.
To give back.
And then the other one was for her personal was reading more.
Yeah.
So I mentioned we can like myself, I formed a family book club for my nieces and nephews, so we meet every Sunday at 6 just to talk about for 10 minutes of what we learned.
Super short, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then,
I'm asking you to start in the office so I can stick to some reading.
Yeah, there you go.
And we have the virtual book club too on
Zoom?
Real estate, the Zoom book club.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Kind of discovered, and not just now, but been around for a while, so in past times, that we do have a lot of commonality, and a lot of us are searching for the same things.
Yeah.
And have
some of the same obstacles in a way.
Yep.
And it's almost like, why do you have to deal with it by yourself?
I love that.
You can just, get somebody else in there, talk to them, and get their opinion. You're
Yeah.
looking for the same thing.
Yeah.
Why not try to help each other find it?
Yeah, I love that. In fact, I heard two things there. Number one, don't feel bad about what your struggles are because others are probably going through the same thing. And number two, the spirit of collaboration, which exists in KW, right? I just, on that note, I just hired 2 people from Cole Banker. Great company. I know the manager there. He's my friend. And at the same time, they just don't have that spirit of collaboration, and that's what they were really wanting. And they came to KW, and they've been with us only 3 weeks, and they've come to my desk 3 or 4 times to say, wow, so different that we are collaborating. In other words, if you want to see my listing presentation, I'm not like, no, I'm not showing that to you. This is mine, right? The spirit should be to give. Because there's plenty of business. It's not a mindset of scarcity, right? And that's what we're talking about here. When we give and you give ideas, right, we grow together that way. And understanding that we're all working on the same kind of things is a big deal, like you mentioned, because that allows us the opportunity to be more vulnerable with each other, because now we realize we're all working on these things. It's so powerful, right? So I want to encourage you guys to continue to support each other in the office, create groups, your committees, be involved with the committees, because that's what brings more synergy to the office, and it will help you grow your business. I'm not even kidding. Just because of that synergy. It's very powerful. So thank you for sharing. Thank you, both of you, for sharing. All right, so that's self-mastery. Now we're going to move on to a different principle. Who's heard of the 80-20 principle? Raise your hand. Okay, cool. Also known as? Pareto Principle. Yes, absolutely. Okay. Truth. There is a pattern of predictable imbalance in life. Let me ask you something. Can you read that sentence again? Someone read it out loud.
There is a pattern of predictable imbalance in life. It's called the 80-20 principle.
Okay. So when I first read this, I thought predictable imbalance. Those 2 words together kind of messed with my head for a second. I thought predictable imbalance. You can predict the imbalance, okay? Because they almost seem like they're contradictory to each other, but they're really not, right? You're predicting that there's going to be imbalance, and that's okay. Rather than when something goes wrong, you get stressed, or something goes wrong, you go, oh, no worries, this is what we're going to do. Because do things go wrong in life? Raise a hand. Do things go wrong in life? They do, right? That's okay. Do things go wrong in a transaction? Who's had the perfect transaction, right? How many of those do you have? Everything goes perfect. It does happen.
Yeah.
Okay? And there's a lot of them that don't go right, right? Raise a hand if you haven't had one go right. Okay, inspections didn't go right. They didn't want to do any of the repairs. A report came out, it was horrible. The buyer decided to change their mind on day 26 where they were going to sign the next day. Who's had that happen? I had it once where my client went to sign the documents. This is when I was way younger. No one told me this, okay? They went to sign their documents. And then the next day I meet him for the final walkthrough. He drives up in a brand new Chevy truck.
Oh, no.
And I go, oh, where'd you get the truck? Well, we signed, right? We're done. I'm like, oh, we're not done. We're not done. We didn't table fund, if you guys know what table funding is. Then it's done when you sign, but in our area, we don't table fund. It is like you sign, the docs go back to the funder for review. They do a quality control check. They pull a soft credit report. They call the job to make sure they haven't quit or moved, right, their employment. It's not done. So he didn't get the house because it was like a $600 payment. And his ratios were already tight. And the lender said, nope, can't do it. He's already proven he's going to buy that truck. And if we give him this loan, he's probably going to default. We're not going to do it. This was like years ago. And I remember crying. I showed him so many houses. It's been months, you know. And now it's done, right? I'm like, oh my gosh. So we learn lessons in life, right? Now I know. Now that's not going to ever happen again. Knock on wood. Knock on wood. Okay, so the 80-20 principle. There's a video, but we're going to skip because okay. So the big rocks come first. Who's heard this conversation about big rocks? Just the 1, 2, 3? Okay. So when we are focused on the 20% that matters, we get 80% of the results. So in your book, in your packets, it talks about where it says more results, fewer activities. I need someone with a loud, clear voice to read this. Who would like to read it for us?
Jason.
Jason.
Someone else.
Which one?
Someone else. It's right here on this page here. You want to read it, sir?
Read the whole damn thing?
Yep, the whole paragraph. The whole 3 paragraphs. Yes, sir.
Otherwise you're
I
not
want-
getting lunch.
I want that radio voice. Give it to us.
The more results for your activities, Dan, part there?
Yeah, more results, fewer activities.
I'll do it the radio voice.
Okay.
More results for your activities. In the 1940s, quality control manager Dr. Joseph M. Juran documented a life-changing universal principle that he called the vital few and the trivial many. The idea was that a relatively small percentage of your efforts lead to the vast majority of your results. He attributed some of his findings to the statistical work of the Italian economist Vilfredo Pareto, we all know him, who had observed that 80% of the wealth in his country was owned by 20% of the population. As fate would have it, that broadly embraced principle came to be known as Juran's law, that is Pareto's principle. Okay. These days, we simply call it the 80-20 principle. The idea that 20% of your actions lead to 80% of your results may be one of the most powerful principles you can apply to your life. It's about getting the most from your time and effort. It's about maximizing your results. It's about having focus. Focus is the key to great success, more than effort, experience, or even natural ability. Look at the highest achievers in any field and you'll discover they have powerful focus. Just as importantly, you learn that they focus on the right things, the handful of truly important issues that make the bigger difference.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. All right, so here's what we know about the 80-20 principle, okay? And this can be found, this is not just something that was, I mean, it was, when was it? It came out when? In the 1940s. Okay, so it's been around a little while, right? It's been around a little while. And they found, like, for example, in a crop, you know, it's 20% of the crop that yields 80% of the good fruit and the good vegetables. In a business, like in real estate, 20%, the top 20% of the agents in this area do 80% of the business. Okay. This is also true when you go even deeper on the Pareto Principle. 20% of the activities you do, you and I, create 80% of our income. So let me ask you a question. If the 20%, let's talk about what the 20% could be. Name things, and I know it's gonna, you guys know, you've probably heard this teaching before. And if you haven't, think about it just naturally, right? 20%, what activities are your top 20% activities? Lead generation. What else? Lead follow-up. Presentations, buyers and sellers. Just throw it out to me.
Script practice.
Script practice, okay. What else? Appointments, right? Okay. So let's stop there real quick. If we know the 20% are these things, and these types of things, right? Gary Keller has the 5 main things: lead gen, listing appointments, buyer consults, writing and negotiating contracts, and then I like to tweak the last one a teeny bit, not a lot, because I'm not Gary Keller. But it's about like leverage. It's systems and tools and people, right? And systems and tools are what? Learning, education, what we're doing today, right? All right, so let me ask you a question. When you think about your entire day, like the day, let's say today, if you weren't in this class, what did you do first thing in the morning? I don't want you to say it out loud necessarily, just think about it. And was it the 20% we just talked about? And if it wasn't, can someone tell me what the 80% looks like? What's the 80% of activities? Can someone mention that while you're thinking about my question? Talk to me. What's an 80% activity?
Checking social media.
Checking social media. What else?
Checking emails.
Checking emails.
Yeah.
Yep. What else? What's the stuff you shouldn't really be doing too much? Right? We still have to do some of those things because who's an independent agent in the room? They have no team or nothing else. Just you. Okay. So we wear all the hats when we start, right? So now it's about organizing the hats in the right order. What other things should you not be doing?
We're not doing too much of printing flyers.
Okay, marketing, printing flyers, yep. So, what's that? TC, yes. Oh my gosh, when you get a TC, it just changes your world. They take away about 20 hours of work, in my opinion, per file. Because I used to TC my own files for years because I was on my own independent brokerage, right? So, I mean, literally it would take me, I got to sit down, I got to look at every document, I got to make sure everybody's signed, nothing's missing. I got to now we upload that to Command, right? And those things take time. Are you making any money during that time? No. That's an 80% activity, right? And I don't know what TC's cost here, but mine's $400 per transaction. Is that about right?
About the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep, 400 per transaction and worth every single penny. Because if I take those 20 hours back and I do 20% activities with it, see, that's the difference. When you leverage something, don't just go chill and do Netflix now. Because you got time, right? Like, oh, I got time, the TC's handling it. I'm just going to watch this whole season of Netflix, right? Don't do that, right? You've got to now take that time back and plug it back into your 20% activities, which is lead generation, lead follow-up, consultations, right? Writing contracts, negotiating. If you're doing those things all the time, that's going to give you 80% of the income that you want for that goal we wrote down earlier today. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. So the big rock story, I want to talk about it for a second. If you haven't heard this story, I would love to have, like, next time I'm bringing a jar of rocks, I'm just going to do it. But if you have a jar, in this story, there's a teacher and the story's actually on one of the pages there. So you can read it when you have a chance. But the big rocks, if I were to hand you a big rock right now with a Sharpie, what would you write on there? And think about your business and your personal life. Think about it all. Remember my story in the beginning about my life? What do you think my big rocks were? Or should have been?
Family.
Right? Date night with my wife. Time with each of my children. On the personal side, right? And then the business side, what would be my big rocks? We just talked about it a second ago. So you would literally, with the Sharpie, write lead generation time on a rock, right? Okay? And I want you to visualize this for a second. What else would you write on that same rock, the big rocks? Following up with the client, right? Hey, I know we talked last week, and I know you're thinking about buying a home. I just want to check back in. I got this wonderful home that just came up. I want to send it to you. I'm going to send it to you right now, as a matter of fact. Let me know what you think. I'd love to sit down and really talk about your dream of home ownership. How's Thursday at 4 sound for you? That kind of thing. It's a follow-up call, right? That's a big rock. That's going to create income for your family to fund the dreams and the goals that you have. And quite often, what do? Like if I was to follow you around with a camera all day for 12 hours and just watch everything you did, whether you're in your car, you know, what you're doing, how much of that do you really feel? And if there's anybody in the room wants to be totally transparent and honest with the room, that'd be amazing. What percentage of that time do you think is spent on the 20% stuff we talked about? Anybody?
Not always.
No? Not always?
Not always.
Anybody?
Like an hour or?
Maybe an hour or two? That's probably the right answer for most people. An hour or two. So how do we switch that, right? So the story of the big rocks is this. The professor took and he had big rocks, he had small rocks, he had sand, and he had water. Did I get that right? Team leader?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Okay, so what he did was he had this big jar, and he goes, hey, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put these big rocks in first all the way till it's full. And he asked the class, is this jar full? And what do you think the class said?
Yes.
It's full. Okay, and I want to rephrase something. He had everything hidden on purpose. Okay, he didn't want them to see the sand and the other stuff because the idea is this: you put those rocks in, you immediately think it's full. But then he went and he pulled out the smaller rocks and he says, "You said it was full," and he poured the small rocks in there, and they went inside and filled the space that was left. And he goes, "Now, class, do you guys think it's now full, right? It's full." And what do you think the class said?
Yes.
Well, yeah, definitely full now. Then he goes, and he pulls out the sand and he goes, the class is going, and he's pouring the sand in there and he shakes the jar a little. Have you ever done something like this? You just shake the jar a little bit and then everything just kind of slides into the leftover space again. And he fills it to the top. And he goes, is it full now?
Yeah.
Definitely. Definitely. No, it's not full. He got water out and he poured water into it. And guess what happens to sand when you put water on it?
Goes down.
So he was able to put water in it, right? And he said, is it full now? And the class goes, I don't know, I don't think it's full now, because you've been pulling stuff out from under the table. And he
You can put air in there.
He can put air. Right? And so, yeah, the jar was full. And then he goes, okay, now we're gonna do something. Are you guys ready? He goes, pulls out another jar over here. He goes, I'm gonna go in reverse now. And before I go in reverse, I want to tell you, the big rocks are the things that are most important in your business and your life. The water is Netflix. The water is checking random emails, going down squirrel holes in TikTok, whatever it might be, okay? Hey, we've all been there.
Eli's actually really big on TikTok.
Oh, whatever. Thank you. And I know, I just started TikTok, okay? See how it goes. Anyways, then he takes it, he gets the water, and he goes like this. He goes, fills up the jar all the way. He goes, is the jar full now?
Yeah.
Yes. What do you think happened when you pulled the sand out and put it in there?
Water overflow.
The water came out. He goes, we're done. Can't fit anything else. Never got to your big rocks, did you?
Not even small rocks.
Not even the small rocks. We do it in reverse so much. And it's because we don't realize we're doing it, right? So every day when you wake up, write this down. Every day when I wake up, I literally want you to write this down. Every day when I wake up. Every day when I wake up. And I want you to put this into your morning routine. Every day when I wake up, I'm going to decide what my big rocks are today. Every day when I wake up, I'm going to decide what my big rocks are today. What you focus on expands, right? So when we decide that in the morning, we're more apt to stick with our big rocks. Follow? Give you guys a second. Every day when I wake up. Now, do you guys see my schedule? I did a schedule for you guys. Second handout. I want you to look at that, okay? It's not perfect. I don't follow it all the time, but that's my schedule. That was my schedule before I became a TL, when I was just doing real estate with my team. This was my schedule. Did I follow it every single day? No. There were some days it got messed up. Something came up. That's going to happen. But my intentionality was always purposefully to do that schedule. And so the reason I did that schedule is because I got a MAPS coach. And the MAPS coach, you guys know what a MAPS coach is, by the way? Who doesn't know what a MAPS coach, just in case I need to explain it? Everybody knows. Cool. You should all have a coach, by the way. Just as a sidebar, Mastery and this, does Tiger Woods and Michael Jordan, did they have coaches? They don't need one, though. They make millions of dollars and they're professionals. No, they have a coach. They still have a coach. Team leaders, we have coaches. You should have a coach in your world for sure. If you don't have productivity coaches, you have your team leader, you have MAPS. There's tons of different coaches. There's group coaching through MAPS. There's tons of places, but we all need a coach. And if we think for a minute we don't need a coach,
We need a coach.
we need a coach. Thank you. That was perfect. Right? So my MAPS coach made me do this schedule. And I'm glad he did, because I'd never really done one. I mean, I kind of had my schedule, like the things I normally would do in the mornings, right? Like in the morning when you wake up, do you have a routine, yes or no? Right? You get up, you wash your face, use the restroom, you get in the shower, iron your clothes, right? You have a routine. That's natural for you. But what happens when we get into business and other things, we lose track of our routine because we really haven't created one yet. Instead, what are we doing? We're running a business by default. Whatever comes at us, we just handle it. Right? Who in here would have trouble if I said, do not answer your phone for the first 2 hours of the day? Would it drive you crazy?
Yeah.
Would it drive you crazy? Would you get more done, though? Probably. Right? Don't answer those texts. They're going to be okay. You know how long it took me to get to that part where I was like, okay with that? So a client texted me at 7:30 p.m., but that's my date night time, and I'm like, I need to answer it. Like, I'm dying. You guys know my story. I was at Disneyland answering things. So this is real. Like, I would have withdrawals at that moment of, if I don't answer it, they're going to think I don't care about them. And all these beliefs came into my head about, oh my God, I've got to respond immediately. Immediately. And you don't, right? So what's your 80-20? What is the most important things? Okay, I shared that schedule so that you guys could start to think about your schedules. That's the reason. Now, who's read The One Thing?
I know why.
Okay, this is an amazing book. I suggest you read it about 10,000 times, right? 10,000? Right? Okay, good. If you go on there and you do a membership on there, you also get access to tons of data, tracking sheets, schedule stuff. They have events. This is all KW, but it's a separate thing called The One Thing, right, through KW. I would highly suggest that you go check it out.
There's the free one's really good too.
They have a free one as well, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, here's the other thing about the 80-20 rule. We're going to make what's called a success list today. Now, normally we make a what?
To-do list.
A to-do list. Got to check that off, check that off, check that off, right? But the mindset is, this is going to create success for the goals that we wrote down earlier, right? So we wrote down some goals, and remember we talked about celebrating the successes, right? The things that we accomplish. Well, that's what this list is about. And think about your success list in the format of 80-20. What's the most important things I can do, and what other things can I leverage? So if you want to check my social media out, I'm only saying this for one reason. Check it out. Find me on Facebook or Instagram, because that's not me posting everything. I've hired it out. I pay $600 a month to someone who posts every single day for me. Now, do I post some things? Yes. But I've leveraged a big piece of that, because what would happen is I'd be at home with my wife, and I'm like, I gotta post something today. And so I'd be eating dinner, kind of not engaging, eating dinner. I'm almost done. I'm posting right now. It takes a second to get the content, to figure out what to put, to do all the hashtags, to tag whoever you're gonna tag, right? It took me 30 to 40 minutes each time. I finally said that's enough is enough, and I found an independent contractor that would do it for $600 a month. And now they post for me every day, 30 days a month. Some post, stories, Facebook, Instagram, both. Every day. Now I've leveraged that out, right? And I can spend time on my bigger rocks. Do you you kind of see the pattern? That social media post is important. It's not my big rock, though. My big rock is getting it done. That doesn't necessarily mean I have to do it. Just like TC. A TC, you need a TC if you don't have a TC. It's gonna save you time. You're gonna be able to focus on other things. Does that make sense, guys? Okay. Success list. Okay. So, we're not gonna go through extreme Pareto because I'm talking too much and we're getting further along. But extreme Pareto essentially is in your book, and it's basically breaking it down even further. Like if I was gonna have you write a list, and maybe you can, while you're eating, if you wanna write a list, you can. Like, I don't wanna force you to do that, but if you want, I think it would be a great idea. Write a list of things you do that you think are 20%ers, and then when you write them down and you think they're 20%ers, you said one that I kind of was thinking, maybe not, which was, what was the one you said earlier?
What script?
Yes, script practice, okay? Script practice, is that a 20%er? Maybe, maybe not. It'll depend too on where you're at in your business, right? So if you're so busy because you've done so well over the years, where you still need script practice, but it's not necessarily a 20% activity anymore. Just like things can change in your business once you grow a team, or you do 30 to 40 or 50 units. What, in the room, just to get a pulse, what would you guys say is like a decent agent's units per year? How many units? Decent. Not great, not bad, not low, just decent. 12? 8? 15? Okay. All right, so you've got to decide, right, that during those years when I was super busy, I was running the office, I was closing between 60 and 80 with one assistant. And that was why I wasn't home. I needed leverage, no one told me. Follow? I needed to go to CV for revisioning. But I didn't know Keller Williams back then, so I didn't know to do that stuff. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you've got to decide where you're at and what applies to you as to what's 80 and 20, okay? We're also going to go through a 411 real quick, but I don't want to do that now because lunch is being set up for us. So we're ready to go. So we're going to stop real quick, take a break, eat lunch. I've only gone through 2 steps because I'm passionate about them and I think I'm just sharing too much. But I do want to try to get through all 6 today if I can. So if you could grab your lunch, you know,
Probably
eat.
do like a 20-minute break now.
Maybe 20-minute break instead, yeah, and then we'll jump right back into it. But I would say if you want while you're eating, write down kind of some ideas of 20%. And in your book, there's a 411 from a mega agent. It's an example that you can reference. Okay? So go ahead and stand up and let's go grab some lunch. And you guys are amazing. Thank you for being here today, by the way. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you're welcome.
By the way, my wife got a coach.
Yeah.
I had no idea how expensive those purses were.
Yeah. A coach person. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean, by the way. Yeah. I love it. Thank you for participating. Appreciate you guys. Thank you.
I'm looking at your time blocking. By the time I looked at 5 o'clock on there, I was already worn out.
You're tired. I bet you're exhausted.
Looking at your sheet.
Yeah, I get up around 4:30.
You're getting tired just looking at it.
By the time I got to 5 o'clock on your sheet, I was worn out.
Have you
I
heard
know,
of
crazy.
5 a.m. club?
Yeah.
I listened to it. Article.
Yeah, I love it.
Miracle Morning is.
I love that's where that kind of came from. Miracle Morning. A lot of it. That's great book.
Yes,
Great book.
yeah, but this one is definitely, I actually am not making the name that you mentioned this one. I'm actually more focused on getting the connection with the, because it's like 4 brothers, they're all homeowners. So I want to have a relationship, but yeah, I won't be making much. Yeah, I'll share with you later if you want. I don't think there's a second. Come look over.
So where did you go for vacation? Hawaii. Yeah, when, with your girl? Yeah. Wow. Yeah, she did amazing. She didn't cry at all on the plane. Yeah. We actually got, my wife did. We ended up getting free drinks on the plane because she was just quiet. Perfect. Yeah. We spent 4 days in Kauai and 4 days in that mountain. Especially for night. She loves the water. She loves the sand. The last day we did. Now I get to stay.
I think now we're gonna switch.
Put her in a little
Swap. We gotta go.
What was the first, what was step 1?
Self mastery.